Alright, we're back with our traveler-based adventure. Actually, I'm pulling from a number of resources besides Traveler. Our crew, the IISS Intrepid. If you've been following along, they're in orbit around a planet they've designated Qatari Prime. They just finished the survey, but there is what we'd call a inexplicable cube object in orbit around the planet too. They've entered orbit too, keeping their distance, keeping it on their sensors. Their planetary survey that I covered in the last video and narration is complete. Unfortunately, it didn't reveal anything about the nature of the cube, but I went ahead and rolled using the charts, and the cube is there. Basically, purpose is conservation of specimens. So, in some sense, it's there to protect, I guess, keep an eye on the life on the planet. But our crew doesn't know this. So they finished the survey. The decision was made to just let's get a rest cycle behind us, but somebody on the sensors at all times. And if the cube does anything overnight, or over the rest cycle, that probably going to do an emergency brake, get out of orbit and get out of there, because they're a scout ship. They're not necessarily equipped to do anything, and they have no idea about this cube. Their sensors aren't penetrating it, which in itself makes it troubling. Finding now with this solo RPG, I've spent a lot of time, reviewing all the resources for Traveler, and then I found some solo Zoser stuff, and then I found some other stuff beyond that too, solo guides. I think the solo RPG guide came out. There's another one called, I believe, Mythic. I think I got these here, General Oracles. Yeah. But one of them here, I'm looking at. I've been looking at them. As Starforge looks interesting as a yes/no. Up until now, I've been using the. Well, here's another one. There's Mythic. Up until now, I've been using this from the solo RPG guide, and it's good. Yes or no, and we get a butt table here, to tweak that. But I'm seeing the solo RPG. A large extent of it is framing questions and then determining a probability, and then rolling to see the result. So it's all, I guess, about the questions that you ask, and then the narration you build out of that. So if you've been following this video, you'll see this is interesting. Yeah. I mean, I in no way planned for them to be in orbit with an unexplained artifact there. That just came out of the tables. And because of that, I'm free to use whatever resource I want to use to do this. But I do leverage the Traveler details. You saw when I tried to do the refueling. I leveraged those and the guidelines on spaceship operations. And the planet builder that you saw in the previous video, where I used that to get details on the planet. But now I'm going to have some question situations. And this time around, instead of using the solo RPG, I was tempted to use this. I may use this later, but I thought, well, let's do the Starforge version, because the advantage is if you get a yes, they've got this action and theme, so further kind of define what happens. So I want to give that a try when it comes to the cube. So they went for a rest cycle. They're keeping an eye on the cube. The first question is, does the cube do anything while they're in the rest cycle? It hasn't responded yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the odds as unlikely, 25 or less. Now with Starforged, I need to roll 2d10, because if there's a match, it's something meaningful. It's up to you to figure it out. So what I'm going to do is pull up my, the Vassal roll is okay, but I'm going to go and pull up my website here. Just a sec. Alright, there it is, my roller right here. And I've got it set for 10-sided dice, 2 of them. The first number will be the 10s. So, let's see. So, unlikely. But if it does do something, 25 or less, it will do something. And then I stop it now. 67. No match. Greater than 25, so that question is answered. Nothing happens overnight. So they come out of their rest cycle, and now the captain has to make a decision, which I kind of framed in the last video. In the narration too, her options, go ahead and land on the planet and just leave the cube up there. I wouldn't do that because you don't know what it's going to do. Number two, approach the cube and try and investigate it. Now there's an interim there. Send a probe, which I'm leaning towards as the decision. Another option is to get as much info as possible and then return to base and report this unexplained alien artifact and go for guidance and or support. And that's, this is the role of a scout, is to figure these things out. So that kind of goes against her grain too. She should at least do something initially to check this out, instead of just running back to base and saying, what do I do? What do I do? That's probably not in her nature. So I'm thinking the best thing to do is go ahead and launch a drone and have it approach the cube and gather data, but see what the cube does in response. So she's going to give the order to launch the drone. I guess I'll roll this as a skill. Let's make sure they don't have any problems launching it. And this should be a kind of a routine. I think that's 6+ in Traveler. Looking at both Captain Burnett and the Astrogator, they both have remote ops 0. So I'm going to use that as a skill. So it's just a straight 6+ roll. That nothing happens. So let's see. Conveniently put itself so it's hidden here. Let's see, and it did it again. So again, let's go back here. So I got 2d6 loaded, ready to go, and survey says 7. Okay, and they got the drone off okay, no problems. Considering all the problems they've been having with drones, that's always a success. So the drone testers are on full, and they begin it on a slow approach course. Alright, so the next question is, does the cube react this time? And I'm going to put this at a 50-50, using, again, the Oracle. So we pull up our dice roller that's disappeared again. Did I delete it? Okay, hold on a second. Okay, we have our dice roller, and this time it's going to be 10 and 2. And let's see what we get here. This is a 50-50. Under 50, we're going to get a response. I think I did that right. And stop. I don't know how to interpret that. Well, they're saying it's a 19, but it's a 90. That's interesting. I think I have to consider the 10 as 0. No, that doesn't make sense either. Well, of course I'd come up with a roll I can't figure out. Well, I have to interpret a 10 as a 0, because if it was considered a 10, it would be 109. Whatever. Okay, so 10-sided. Yeah, it's a 9. That means it's going to react. Life is interesting here. So what we're going to do next is ask the Oracle. Let's put this here so I can get back to it. We need an action. This is a straight roll 100, so I'm going to make this easier. Don't have to figure out what a 10 means. I'm going to make this 100. And let's see its reaction here. And here we go, survey says. No, gosh. Uncover. Uncover. What is an uncover? Well, and it says you follow it with a theme. So it's going to uncover. And we roll again. I gotta figure out what this is. It's going to uncover. Got some weird results there. Why I'm rolling high. Uncover a tool. Uncover a tool. Let me think about that. So I would say the next question is, what's the nature of the tool? And I'm going to just split it into three choices: offensive, defensive, or utilitarian neutral. We'll see. And I'll just do a straight 33%. So I guess I can keep using this 100. So I'll say offensive is 1 to 33. Defensive is 33 to 66. And utilitarian is 66 above. Let's see what happens. Utilitarian. Okay. Dang, this thing is rolling high. So then, okay, what kind of tool would that be? Okay. Not getting nice answers. Offensive or defensive would have been easy to figure out, but it's some kind of utilitarian tool. So let's see what we turn that into. So instead of rolling for this one, I'm going to make this interesting. I'll say it's opening up an entry port. Okay. Yeah, if it would have been offensive or defense, defense could have been a shield, offense could have been a weapon, but I rolled utilitarian, and the dice don't lie. So it's opening up an entry point so we can proceed down the road of investigating what this is. Now, this is interior features. I'm just looking here at Starforged. They go into this whole, we already got the vault purpose. But then as we go into the interior, we can look into this and, say, what do we find in there? This is a roll here. And then we have interior perils or opportunities. And then when we get to the very inside, that's the sanctum, I guess they call it, and sanctum interiors or opportunities. So I think the drone will proceed and we'll start rolling on these tables. Alright, and just following our Starforged guidance here, if you enter the site, check the inner first look table for initial impressions. If you explore further, use the interior feature table to what you find. So, got a number of, here's the inner first look we'll roll on. Then there's the inner more detailed, and then here's the interior peril and opportunity. And then it looks like, then when you get to sanctum, you get all the way in. So let's just say the drone pulls up and peeks inside, and let's see what it sees here. This is again another D100. Hopefully something I can interpret easier. 80. Gosh, can't get anything below 50. Or thrumming or droning sound. Oh, that's interesting. Machinery. Okay. So something's going on in there. Not sure what. I guess this means I can roll it a second time, so let's add something here. Let's see if I can get below 50. Close my eyes and stop. Finally, 43. Faint ambient lighting. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. I don't know. Well, let's do this question, and this may or may not end the drone here. I'm kind of curious if the drone is too big to go through the passageway, and it has to be done by people. I mean, the port opened, its sensors can look in, and it picked up the sound, and it did see the ambient lighting in there, but I don't know what the nature of this portal, this entry point is. Can it be entered by a drone, or how big the drone is? So let's go ahead and just ask the Oracle here. Can the drone fit? I'll do a 50-50. 50 or less, yes. 50 or more, it's going to have to be manned. Yep, it's drone doesn't fit. That's all they know. That is problematic. Alright, so somebody is going to well, the drone doesn't fit. The drone can't go in there. We're going to have to maybe do an EVA and pull the scout up. Wow. Big decisions for Carol here. All right, yeah, now we've got to frame her decisions. Does she, well, she doesn't have enough information. The crew didn't gather enough information. Just know there's an interior, and if they want to do any further, they're going to have to go and do this. And the scout doesn't necessarily have, I'm going to look through the equipment. The question is, how do they approach it? Does the scout have to pull all the way up to this cube? Or can they do it from a distance here? So that's what she's going to have to decide. The captain's going to have to decide. Do we close with it or not, with the whole scout ship? Alright, I think what we're going to do is this. I think she's going to decide to close with the scout slowly, because she may want to do the investigation. In the meantime, she does say the laser turret's manned and energized just in case, although it's like a pop gun compared to probably real weapons and real ships. But she's going to close with the scout now, keeping the drone with an eye on it, see if anything changes. And then I think we'll do one more roll. We're back to the yes or no. Since the drone already approached, and all it did was open a portal, the scout now, let's see if it responds to the scout coming, but I'll make that an unlikely. So 25 or less, it's going to do some response to the scout. 26 or more, scout can pull right up. Let's see what happens. Oh my goodness, it's going to react to the scout. Great. Okay, let's find out. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't. But hey, the dice don't lie. So let's see what it does in response to the scout closing. A 20. Change, great. Okay, change. Let's put that down. Let's find out how it changes. I guess that's a theme here. See if this gives us any ideas. Well, I'm rolling low now. Creation. Oh my goodness. This is pushing my creative motions here. What does it create? Well, I'm just going to cheat here and say it creates a docking port for the scout ship. It tries to form a docking port. So, that's interesting. Okay. So, yeah, here we go. She's, just to summarize, and this, I'll go ahead and end this recording here. I'll try and get these out faster, but we're already at 18 minutes. But basically, this session has been a bunch of yes or no answers, and we've been leveraging Starforge's random tables here. And we initially closed the cube with a probe, which was then given an entry port, but it couldn't fit in it. But now the scout approaches, and it actually forms what appears to be a docking port. So they're going to continue to close, and I think our crew is going to be exploring this cube in our next session. So, thank you very much for listening. I apologize for my voice. I'm obviously on the other side of something here. But, yeah, interesting times. We're moving into now exploring the alien artifact cube, which we do know, but the crew doesn't know, was put in orbit, apparently, I think for surveillance, but we'll find out as we move into the artifact itself here, or they call it ancient vaults. So we'll see here with this. We'll start unpacking this, and then maybe the sanctum perils. So let's see what happens to our crew as they approach this ship. Yeah, so that'll do it for now. If you like, click like. Any comments are appreciated. I'm finding interesting that solo RPG so far to me has been just framing appropriate questions and having the dice figure it out, and then leveraging resources out there. And you can see me pulling from a lot of them to try and build a narration. So interesting here. So I will see you at the next recording as the Intrepid potentially docks with this alien artifact and perhaps explores it. So thanks for listening.